So, what's the real difference between a trader who makes consistent money and someone who just gets a lucky break and then loses it all? It's not some secret software or a crystal ball. It really just comes down to a fundamental shift in how you think. And that single shift, well, it's everything. It's the difference between building a business and just buying a lottery ticket. Let's dig into it. This right here, this gets straight to the heart of the matter. The source material draws a really clear line in the sand. On one side, you've got gamblers. They're all about hope, emotion, and that one big score. And on the other, you have professionals who operate like business owners using process and probability. Honestly, if you only get one thing from this, getting this distinction is it. Okay, so let's make this a little more real. We're going to follow a new trader as he starts out. He's done the work, he's back-tested his system, and he feels like he's ready to go. And after his first 10 trades, with the adrenaline pumping, he feels like he's on top of the world. All right, so here they are, his first 10 live trades. He starts off with a couple of quick losses. Yeah, that always stings a bit. But then he starts to find his rhythm. There's a decent gain, a trade that breaks even, and then, boom, a nice $500 winner. After one more tiny loss, he goes on a complete tear with 4 wins in a row. Now, from where he's sitting, things are looking pretty incredible. And here's the bottom line. Over $1,600 in profit from just 10 trades. I mean, for a new guy, this is all the proof he needs. He's thinking, the system works, the money is real, I've finally figured this out. So, what could possibly be wrong with that? But this is where we have to pause. This is the question that a professional asks that a gambler completely ignores. Is this profit because the strategy is solid and repeatable? Or was it just a lucky streak? Maybe the whole market was going his way. You see, the final number, the profit itself, it doesn't tell you the whole story. Not even close. And that's where the mentor figure, the rich trader, steps into the picture. He comes in with a totally different way of looking at things, revealing the principles that actually build a long-term career, not just a couple of lucky wins. This is the pro's playbook. And here's the very first lesson from the mentor. The hardest part of this game isn't reading charts or following the news. It's what's going on up here, between your ears. As the slide says, the psychological side of it is the real challenge. It's a battle against your own greed, your own fear, and your own ego. That is the real work. So the rich trader explains that a pro really has 2 completely separate jobs. First, you're a researcher. This is where you do all your thinking. You analyze, you test your ideas, you build a trading plan based on solid odds. And all of this happens before you even think about placing a trade. Then, and only then, you become a trader. And your only job in this role is to execute that plan you already made. No emotion, no second guessing, just execution. Now we're getting to the simple but incredibly powerful math that the entire professional approach is built on. It's not about trying to win every single time. In fact, you can be wrong a lot and still make a ton of money. It sounds so simple, almost too simple, doesn't it? But this is the absolute golden rule of professional trading. You don't try to avoid losses. You can't. They're just a cost of doing business. Your entire goal is just to make sure those losses stay small, tiny even, so that when you do win, your wins are massive in comparison. Think about it just like this chart shows. You take a small loss. Okay, you take another one. No big deal. You might even take a third. It doesn't matter, because one single big win can come along and completely wipe out all those small losses and then some. That's what having a real statistical edge looks like in the real world. So how do you actually do this? Well, here it is. The second a trade proves you're wrong, you're out. Period. No hoping it'll turn around, no praying for a miracle, you just cut the loss and move on. Now, on the flip side, and this is the hard part for a lot of people, when a trade is working, you have to let it run. You have to have the discipline to sit on your hands and let those profits grow to get those huge wins that make the whole system profitable. And this all leads us to what is probably the single most powerful metaphor in our entire source. If you want to stop being the gambler, you have to start thinking like the one business that always profits from them. The casino paradigm is this huge mental shift. Look, a casino doesn't freak out if one person hits a jackpot. They don't get emotional about it. Why? Because they know that over thousands and thousands of pulls on that slot machine, their small, built-in statistical edge guarantees that they will come out ahead. A professional trader thinks the exact same way. One trade is just one trade. It's irrelevant. And you can see the difference right here. On the left, you've got the gambler, just strapped into an emotional roller coaster, driven by hope and fear. On the right, you've got the casino. Cool, calm, systematic. It's like a machine just running its program. The house doesn't get excited about a win or depressed about a loss. It just executes its plan over and over, trusting the math. You have to decide which side you're on. At the end of the day, it all boils down to this. This is the big takeaway. Don't be the one playing the game. Own the game. Don't be the person hoping the roulette wheel lands on their number. Be the business that owns the wheel. You've got to be the casino. You know, this famous quote really just says it all. The market itself isn't what's risky. The risk comes from showing up without a plan, without an edge, without knowing what your job is. The real risk is acting like a gambler instead of a business owner. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. When you really look at your own approach, are you just making bets, hoping for the best, just playing the game? Or are you running a business, methodically executing a plan with a real edge and ready to actually own the table? The choice, as they say, is yours.